There we are. It's bright outside, but it's dark in here. There we go. Just showing off because I've now got a window in the workshop. Oh, how are we all doing? Have we had a good weekend? Whoo! What a day. So, sorry I missed last week's live Q&A. I've had a busy week. The man, the myth, the living legend, Tim Bell. How are you, Tim? I always look forward to Tim's comments. To be fair, there's a few guys on here, and when I see the name pop up, I'm like, yes, here we go. What have they got in store for me today? Wait there, let the messages shout to me. 1 second. Yeah, I'm live. Leave me alone. Right, so a few little exciting things. This is one of the most exciting developments this week. So my little workshop, I've now got a window to the world, which I originally didn't want, but yeah, due to unforeseen circumstances, I've now got a window in the workshop, which means it's not as dark and dingy and depressing than it is what it used to be, but also now it's my little window to, you know, order food and snacks and drinks and what have you, but it's also their little window to me, so they can see what I'm up to, which isn't good. Anyway, guys, how have you all been? I've had quite a busy week. I finally got my van back. And here's the good news as well. Now, I'm noticing as well, I'm glitching a little bit, so I hope the internet connection is okay. I hope it is. Anyway, I finally got my van back. Top end of the engine, completely rebuilt. All new valves, rockers, whatever they are. They sound quite good. They've been done. Full service, cam belt changed, pulleys changed, camshaft sensors changed. Basically, the whole top end of the engine and a full service. And it came in. I think this was quite good, but I'm not a mechanic, so any of you guys out there mechanically minded that know about, you know, rebuilding engines, I've got a Volkswagen Crafter 2015 plate, so it's nearly 10 years old now. I always think it's quite a new van, but it's not. It's nearly 10 years old now. For the top end of the engine, for the top end of the engine to be rebuilt, it cost me 2,100. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I thought it was quite good. It was a lot better than I was expecting, because some of the people were saying to me it's going to cost about 3 or 4,000 quid. But anyway, that's where we're at. 2,100. I was quite pleased with that. That's one development. The reason you didn't see me last week was because my missus and the kids, they're all onto the horses, and basically the reason I'm plastering 7 days a week is to try and keep these guys in a nice lifestyle. But every now and then things go tits up. Me middle daughter does really well on the horses. She's moved off a farm where we keep all the rest of the horses to another farm because it's got better facilities. It's got a big sand pit with lights. In layman's terms, if you're in the horsey world, then it's got a menage with lighting, so you can ride late at night. Anyway, so she's moved to a different farm with her horse, which ultimately is a pain in the ass, because I have to pay for both farms. I have to keep a space at the farm where she's coming back to, and pay for the new one, because if I don't keep the slot available at the old farm, then we lose it. Someone else moves in, we can't get that horse back there then. So while she's getting it fit, long story short, it's at the new farm. The whole setup is different, and the hay nets are tied to these metal rings, so your horse eats flipping hay. This is mad, I didn't talk about this shit on the plastering channel, but I'm just letting you know where I'm at. The horse eats hay out of these hay nets. It's only gone and put its foot into the hay net and got stuck and spun upside down and was hanging by its foot. Now, the stuff that the hay nets are made out of is the same stuff that seat belts are made out of. So it's like wrapped around its foot and it's dangling by it, pulling it, and managed to cut into its leg, which meant I had to take it to an Leahurst Animal Hospital where they train vets. It's the closest place to us. And basically, they just give me a good spanking. So, I mean, I said to them, listen, I'm a plasterer, not a footballer. So, they don't care. It cost £1,000 just to take the thing to the place before they did anything. They took £1,000 off me just to say, thanks, we'll take it from here. So, yeah, that's why you didn't see me last Sunday, because there was a lot going on. There was flipping money. I was just hemorrhaging money. So anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, I got my van fixed. The horse went in. I ended up with a new window in here. I've just been busy. But here's a little thing. What I was thinking of doing. So ultimately, all the videos that I've sort of put out at present, we do these live Q&As every Sunday, and we do I sort of do like educational videos through the week, although they've been a bit scarce lately because I've been on some sort of like long jobs. But I was thinking, would it be interesting to do sort of like a day in the life videos, you know, sort of, because I could maybe for a week or 2 weeks I just sort of pop out a video every day, you know. Might not really be sort of showing you anything new or sort of, you know, teaching you any skills, but just for sort of like entertainment purposes. Would you be interested in that? If you would, sort of let me know in the comments that that's a good idea. But if you're not really that interested, it's not really something you want to see, then also tell me, because I don't want to bore the ass off you, just sort of showing you stuff that doesn't really amount to anything, you know, just sort of like a day in my life. So you'll have to let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in or not. But anyway, that being said, I've got a few questions because I put a post in the community section before, and a few people give me a few questions to answer. And also, I'm just going to quickly scan through these comments here and see where we're up to, guys. So, Jamie B, Kirk, hope all's well. Spot on, Jamie. Wayne Allen, how's the new window going, mate? Not sure, Wayne, because literally, not that I'm going to do anything dodgy in here, right? But like my missus can just see everything now. Look at this. That's inside my house. I mean, I need to get some blinds, don't I? I mean, say for instance I was counting money. There's no hiding it from her now, is there? She can see everything. But it's quite good though, because when I come after work and sort my jobs out and sort a few things out, this is like my little, you know, I'll just give you a little tour. It would a bit messed up at the minute. All my books that are on the bookshelf are now stacked up over there. It's me little, look at this. It's sad, aren't I? Look at me. This is my little ring light. Now this is so I can go live on YouTube with you guys. I put my phone in here. I don't use the ring light. I don't need to, because I've got this light on the wall that I put in for when I'm doing intricate stuff on my desk if I'm fixing things. But this is my little office, so I'm coming in after work and get stuff done. There we go, put you back in there. Yeah, so I've got this little light on the wall. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to conform to wearing glasses, so I have this for me small print. But anyway, yeah, there's no hiding now. I'm in here every day, and you can see everything that's going on, which isn't. I'm not sure if it's a good thing or not. Dangerous Dave Slater looks a lot brighter in there. It does, Dave. Yes, it is quite. It's not as depressing coming into a dark. Feels like you come into a flipping cell, to be honest with you, when there was no window. So, Douglas Life, Hi Kirk, Matt from Norfolk signing in. Nice to see you, Douglas Life. Nice to see you, Matt. Tim Bell has been busy rendering outside in this lovely sunshine. On a Sunday, Tim, you're getting as greedy as me. Wayne Allen, I'm gutted the window hasn't fallen out yet. I didn't fit it. So that the firm I do plastering for, Fortress Windows, the lads come and did it for me. They popped in of an evening, and you know what? Trying to get a price out of them. Oh my! I was like, "Tell me how much you want, lads." You know, because I thought to myself, "I'm busy. I'm out and about." I said, "Tell me how much you want to do the job," because I was going to just leave the cash in here for them, so when they're done, they can just get the money and go. No, wouldn't tell me. They did the job. Just tell me how much you want. When they turned up, I was on my way out. Tell me how much you want. Wouldn't tell me. For 2 days, I've been badgering them. How much do I owe you for the window? Won't give me a price. Explain that to me. Bizarre. Lovely lads. I hope they don't think they're doing it for free, but maybe they want to charge me loads and they haven't got the bottle to tell me. I don't know. But anyway. Dangerous Dave said, how's it drive? The van, mate, is absolutely mint. Can't fault it. It actually drives. It's quieter and drives better than when I originally had it. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been in that Toyota Hilux for a few months, and that's like flipping rough as hell. So, I mean, it sounds like a tank, and it drives like you're like a ping pong ball in the cab. It's absolutely horrendous. There's no such thing as comfort in that Toyota Hilux. But so maybe I'm sort of comparing the van to that. But as far as I can remember, the van actually sounds a lot quieter than it originally did and drives a lot nicer. It's just lovely to be back in something. I mean, we've got we use cordless whisk. So a lot of times we'll put up at jobs and young Kieran will jump in the back of the van and mix up in the back, save getting, if it's a little patching job, save getting all the gear out the van onto the job site, sheeting up to mix up and all that caper. He'll just literally stay in the back of the van because it's a high top. It's, it's not a long wheelbase, but I think it is. It's 3 meters in the back. 3.2 meters or something in the back anyway. It's it's a decent size. So he'll literally mix plaster in the back of the van and just fetch me a bucket in. It's just a pleasure having it back. I've got it all set up for plastering. I've got a rack in there for plasterboards. I've got all those little bins, that you pull out with. I've got different size drywall, screws, cloths, everything. Everything I need is like literally set out in the back of my van. So it's just wonderful having it back to me. It's like a breath of fresh air. So who have we got here now? East Side, good evening, Kirk. Good evening, mate. Philip Gregson, hi, mate. What is Surrey coat before I do internal rendering? Hi, mate. What is Surrey coat? Right, so I'm sure that's meant to say Surrey coat before I do internal rendering. So, a slurry coat, mate, is just basically to give you a nice key if you're going over concrete or something of that nature. If you're doing internal rendering, it's probably not necessary. If you're going over concrete, for instance, then you might want to mix some SBR and cement and basically just put it on like a paste and stipple it to give you a little key. But there's all different mixes you can do for slurry coats. Depends what you're doing. You'll have to give me a little bit more info, mate, if you want more of a specific answer, though. I don't think if you're doing internal rendering, you're going to need a slurry coat. Always put key them, say. Okay. Right, okay, so Dangerous Dave, Eddie Gilks has said, yeah, it's a good idea to do a day in the life. So we'll do that then, lads. We'll do a day in the life. We'll show you some of the shenanigans that I get up to. Well, I think what would be a good thing is to sort of show you the problems that I come up against, rather than just sort of showing you, like, the good bits. I'll show you the stressful bits, you know, when things don't go to plan or we come up against new obstacles or, you know. I'll tell you one of the main things I struggle with in work these days, though, is motivation. I struggle to be motivated. I used to struggle with, like, you know, different things, but nothing major. The main struggle I have now is to get motivated. Do you know, this is the problem, like, with, do you know, sort of like when you're living week to week, like hand to mouth, the great motivation is if you don't earn money, then you starve. That is a fantastic motivator to go to work. Sort of like, you know, if I don't work this week, I can't afford to pay my bills this week. That's a fantastic motivator. But as you sort of get a bit along in life and you get a bit of money behind you and you know, you sort of like start figuring things out and you're pricing jobs right and you know, you sort of like, you know, I'm not doing great, but I'm doing okay. Then that sort of goes, you know, that. And the motivation seems to have gone with it. You know, I think the best thing for me is to be basically broke. If I'm broke, I'm the hardest grafter you'll meet. But sort of like when I'm doing okay, just the motivation, just, you know, I need to kick up the arse. What have we got in here now? Okay, Philip Gregson, you go over brick. Philip, I wouldn't say that you need a slurry coat, mate. I would, if you're going over brick, then I would just scratch coat it and float it for internal rendering. Little tip for you: scratch and float the walls the same day, and then depending on what you're doing, if you've got damp issues, then you're going to want to put a waterproof in your mix, but don't put it in your scratch coat. Usually on external rendering, you'll put waterproof in the scratch coat so that your top coat stays nice and wet so you can pattern it. But if you're floating and you want to rule it up and, you know, rule it off and rub it up the same day, then you're better off putting your waterproofer in the top coat and just Fed mix in your base coat, because then it's going to pick up quite quick because there's no sort of sunlight or breeze internally. So the last thing you want to do is sort of like put loads of waterproof in your scratch coat and then your top coat is just hanging around forever. You know, and you can't rule it off and rub it up and you're staying there till midnight trying to get it done. So waterproof in the top coat if there's damp issues. If there's no damp issues, then you don't need to use waterproofer, but you definitely don't need a slurry coat internally for go over brickwork, I wouldn't say. But I haven't seen the brickwork. I mean, if it's engineering brick, then maybe you do. But if it's, you know, I've never seen a house built out of engineering brick. Stephen Price, mate, you'll have to do a van tour. I'm aimless with my van, a place for everything and everything in its place. It gets swept out once a week. Cleanest plasterer's van you'll ever see. Yeah, Stephen. Do you know what the interesting thing, Stephen? You've just put that post there, right? It just come up on my screen that this post has been held for review. So, and I clicked view post. So your post was held for a review. Now, the only reason I can think that got held for a review is because you've said anal and fuck in the same paragraph. So maybe don't do that in the future, mate, because you might get banned or something. But yeah, you sound like me dad. To be honest with you, I like things fairly neat and tidy, fairly within reason. But my old fella, weekends, our Sunday when we were kids, me and my brother, our weekend was right, 8 o'clock up, tools out the van, every single tool out the van. Clean all the tools, empty the toolboxes out, dust all the toolboxes out, wipe everything down, clean everything down, hoover the van out, hoover it, a plastering van, hoover in the back, hoover all the seats, clean everything, wash the van. Oh, Craig, because he was the lightest, he'd be up on the roof with the flipping sweeping brush and the fairy liquid on the roof and scrubbing the top of the roof to get... Oh, my dad was absolutely nuts, mate. My van literally is just organised and that's it. Every time it gets unpacked on a job, I sort of say to Kieran, put that back neat so it's easy to get to things, and that's it. There's sort of no big operations on the weekend for me. But I will do a van tour if that's what you want, but you won't be impressed. I mean, most of the time it's just get it in, let's get gone. Tim Bell, I'm going to struggle with this week. It's going to be so long. I go on holiday on Friday. Oh mate, at least you've got something to look forward to. To be fair, I'm due a holiday myself, but with having the little baby, the little fella, he needs a passport. So I'll have to get that sorted. And I'm sort of behind with work. So the job that I was on where I haven't been able to film for ages is still impacting other jobs. Everything in my diary at the minute is still sort of backing up. I've got to make, unfortunately, not looking forward to it, I've got to make a few awkward phone calls tomorrow morning and ultimately put people back, put them off. It's not nice. It's stressful. Hate letting people down, but tomorrow morning about 3 people are going to get a phone call anyway to get told some good news that their job potentially won't be getting done for at least a month, or if they can't wait, then won't be getting done by me, which is crap, but it's the nature of the beast. It's what it's like being self-employed. Sometimes you just can't fit things in. It genuinely gives me anxiety as well. I flipping hate phoning people up because they always sound gutted, and it's like, you've got to remember, it's only plastering. It's not life or death. It is literally just a bit of plaster on the wall, you know. You got to try and keep it in perspective, haven't you? Dangerous Dave, I can indeed nothing quite like cleaning skim out of a new bucket. What a feeling. Right, bit more info on this internal rendering. Yes, damp course doing hacking off, mate, so just put waterproof. Yes, okay. I'm sort of Philip Gregson. Yep, damp course doing hacking off, LM, mate, so just put waterproof. Right, I'm deciphering what you've said there, Phil, and I'm thinking that you are going over a job that's had damp, so definitely put waterproof in. It doesn't matter which coat you put it in, so I'll put it in the top coat, mate. Miller's channel. Hey Kirk, just with there, before I read this, I'm just going to turn this laptop on because I did get a few questions before that I said I'll answer and clear up. So I'll just get this whole thing fired up. Right, let's see what he said. Miller's channel. Hey Kirk, just a quick one. I've got a small bathroom to skim. Bottom half has had tiles on it. It's took about 4 or 5 mil off what looks like concrete and lime. Maybe. Can I just brown it and then skim later in the day? So, I'm assuming when you're saying it looks like concrete and lime, I'm assuming that you've took the tiles off and they are like the very first sort of tiles that have ever been fitted in the world, where they've been spotted on with like big slabs of cement about that thick, like a big blob, and it's just been squished in sort of flat, almost like dabbing tiles on the wall. That's what I'm assuming you've come up against. And the answer would be yes, you can just sort of get over it with any back coat plaster and skim it. The only place you've got to watch out for, the only thing you've got to take into account, when you look at the external wall on the building, because no doubt 2 walls in that bathroom are going to be external walls, you know, they're not leading onto other bedrooms, they're leading onto the outside of the house. Check if on those external walls, if there's a cavity or if there isn't. If there isn't a cavity, it may be an idea to sort of smooth them off with sand and cement with waterproof in, just in case there's any penetrating moisture. If it lashes down outside, you know, and the rain hits that wall, is it going to penetrate through? If you use a gypsum-based plaster, that can potentially draw moisture through. So just check that. If you've got a cavity, then you're good to go. But if what you're describing to me, those old tiles, they usually the houses that sort of had those spotted on are quite old and potentially don't have cavities. So just check that, mate. So But otherwise, yeah, you just fellow out of bonding or browning, whatever you want to do, and away you go. Well, bonding if you seal it, browning if you don't. Browning's for high suction, bonding's for low suction. Jimmy's Building Services, not on the beer there, Kirk. Well, I've got a little confession to make. So last night, we went to a barbecue with my missus's friends. I have actually got a beer. He's just over here. But last night, goes to this barbecue. My missus said, right, we're going to go see some of my friends from Pony Club, you know, horsey people. So hopefully they never watch this. hopefully none of my wife's horsey friends ever watch my channel, right? But here's the deal. Sometimes I get sort of roped in to go into different places and whatnot. Now, I would say a good 50% of my missus's friends are sound, down to earth. I mean, genuinely salt of the earth type of people. But unfortunately, in the horsey world, you do sort of get these the snob type ones, and then the ones that aren't sort of like snobs. They're just sort of like, you know, sort of think that they are. Now, I genuinely, I am what I am. I don't try and pretend to be anything special. Like, literally, I grew up in a working class family. Sometimes my dad was on the dole. Most of the time he worked. I mean, he's always been a boozer. I've grew up on a council estate. You know, I am not airs and graces. I am just literally, I am what I am. All I do is graft hard to earn as much money as I can to give me missus and kids sort of the best lifestyle that I can. But nothing's sort of been given me. I haven't inherited a farm or anything like that. I just literally just go to work every day, head down, arse up, grafting to get the money to sort of give them a nice life. And I don't pretend otherwise. Now, I'll have a banter. I love a good banter, you know. So when we sort of go to these functions and do's with my wife's friends, sometimes you're sort of mixing with people that, I don't want to sound like slagging no one off, but people that think they're a little bit above you, but they've never actually worked for anything they've got. You know, if you just sort of, if you've just inherited a farm from your parents, you've just been given it, and it's a working farm, so ultimately overnight you've just become a millionaire and you've done nothing, right, for it. You've just inherited it, and then you're sort of like trying to talk down to me, and I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, I've worked and paid for myself. Like, I've been clawing myself out the trenches to get to where I am, and you've just sort of been given it and you're telling me advice. So yeah, I mean, I'm not slagging no one off, but I'm just sort of, sometimes you go to these do's that my missus invites me on to with her mates, and I think, I can't be arsed with these people because they ain't like me. You know, they're not my type of people. But to be fair, we went to a barbecue last night, and these guys were like my people. So it was sort of like my missus that was the snob. So we all got on the beers, and there was shots, there was aftershocks. We were having shots of vodka. I'm a lager drinker, but if there's a round of shots going, and you know, the music's playing, we had a bit of Kenny Rogers on and all that, you know, and everyone was having a good laugh. Yeah, so I potentially had a few too many and felt a bit worse for wear this morning. Like, I felt like my head had been in the vice this morning when I woke up. So, and to top it off, this morning I woke up, and the little fella, the toothless terrorist, my little son, he's no longer toothless. He's got two little bottom teeth coming through here, and they're like flipping razor blades. They're like, imagine getting them plumbing push fittings, and it's got the little sharp blades inside. His bottom teeth are like that. 6 o'clock this morning. I mean, I'm sort of like green this morning, and he's smacking me on the side of the head, stood up, down my ear, and biting me flipping ear. Oh, wasn't good. So today, I felt rough as a bear's backside all morning. We went and had a Turkish lunch at a Turkish restaurant. We were the only ones in there today, and that sort of me ran out. And then since then, I've sort of like thought, right, I just need to just chill out today. So hence the Coca-Cola. But I thought to myself, you know, I might reward myself later. Once we've sort of finished this live, I might have a quick bevy, you know, just to finish the night off. Right, let's just catch up with these comments. Now, I've got 2 more comments held for review. So I don't know who's going crazy here and what you're writing. Shall we see what they say? So the first message that is held for, I'm just going to read them. Right. I don't give a toss. I'm going to read them. Let's see what they say. I promise to read out whatever's here. Right. Joey 200867 has said, "What is this gay shit?" Joey, I reckon you're the gay one, mate. He who cast the first stone, son. And then the second comment held for review. Come on, let me see it. The second comment that was held for review. I hope there's no kids listening. Cover your ears, kids. There's Joey 200867 has decided to write. For some reason, he's decided to drop onto a YouTube live video to tell everyone the only thing around here, no, the only thick thing around here is my cock. Okay, Joey, glad you've got that off your chest, son. So you go back under your little rock, wherever you come from, and flipping play with your little todger. Right, Miller's channel. Yeah, they've been on a while, probably 40 years. It's just patchy in places where they've come off. Yeah, there's cavity. Cheers, mate. Perfect. That's the tile situation sorted, mate. Jorex Jim. Hiya. Hope you're all well. Nice to see you, Jorex Jim. Paul Gallagher. Evening, mate. Love the content. Paul, I think you're going to enjoy this coming week, mate. I'm doing my best. I'm going to turn a video out. Should I say it or not? This is the thing with me. Once I say it, I've got to commit to it. So, okay. Fuck it, let's do it. I'm telling you now, this week, I'm going to turn out a video every single day for a week. I'd like to do 2. I don't want to commit to that yet. But as of, you'll get a video tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll do a video every day. Can't guarantee it's going to be great content. Can't guarantee it's going to be well edited. But I'll do my best because there's been such a drought on videos. I haven't done anything for ages. I've done 1 or 2 videos in literally a month. So I'll turn one out every day for a week. Probably going to regret saying that. Darren Clayton. Hi, Kirk. I've got to take a fire breast out in the bedroom. Would you dab board on or render or use hardwall and then skim? Cheers, mate. Hi, Kirk. I've got to take a fire breast out in a bedroom. Would you dab board on or render or use hardwall and then skim? Cheers, mates. Okay. Okay. Darren. Taking a fire breast out, a chimney breast. When you take the chimney breast out, you're going to have a few little things to deal with. First of all, hopefully you've dropped the stack from the top or you've installed gallows brackets. You're not going to just chop the chimney breast out the wall because, you know, there's potentially weight above it. So I'm sure that you've sorted that. I'm only saying that, not because I doubt you, but just for the benefit of anybody else that's listening that, you know, potentially is going to do the same thing. If you're going to take a chimney breast out, make sure that you've either dropped the top, drop the stack down so there's no weight, or put gallows brackets in. Sometimes you might have to gallows bracket it if it's attached to next door's chimney. You know, you can't just start knocking their chimney down as well without their permission. Then, once the chimney breast is out in the room that you're working on, you've got the issue with soot on the wall, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, to be honest with you, because you can soak it and scrub it and brush it, and it just never seems to go, and it's very difficult to get a decent key to the soot, you know, when you sort of render it over it. So now there's a few more variables. Again, we've got the same situation. If there's a cavity in the wall, then you're fine. You can use plasterboard, you can use a back coat plaster. If there's no cavity, then you're going to have to use sand and cement with waterproof or lime. That being said, that's nice and easy, but you've got the situation with the soot on the wall. So there's multiple ways of doing it. I mean, you could stud the whole wall off and plasterboard it across the whole wall, but if you're trying to save space, one thing that I've done in the past is literally scrape as much of the soot off as humanly possible, get as much off as possible. Then you'll end up with just the inside, like a nice little black sort of line where the soot used to be, but you'll still have a hard time getting anything to stick to it. So then what you can do is, if you're going to use sand and cement, put expanded metal lath, drill and plug that to the wall, use washers, and basically screw expanded metal lath to the wall. Not expensive, it's very cheap. And when you use expanded metal lath, it's like little diamond shapes, and you want the little diamonds to be going like, you know, horizontal, not vertical. Yeah, the little diamond should be horizontal. And when you rub the outside, the side that's facing you, it should feel rough. If it feels smooth, turn it upside down, and it should feel rough. And what that means is that the way the metal's twisted, it's so that the stuff slides into the wall. You don't want the stuff sort of sliding away to you. So yeah, expanded metal lath. Another thing that you could do as well, which surprisingly works, like a little hack. I don't know how or why, but you can put stabilizing solution on the soot, but you've got to scrape a load of it off first. You've literally got to get it down as much as you possibly can, and then put stabilizing solution on the soot, and it binds it together. I mean, stabilizing solution is a godsend. Second to SBR. SBR is the best product in the world, but SBR never stabilizes anything. So if you've got a chalky background, if you've got, you know, distemper or lime wash paint, if you've got soot, you can. I always see people on forums going, blue grit, put blue grit on it. Listen, it's just a sealer. It just sits on the surface. It doesn't soak into the material. The same as PVA or SBR or anything. It doesn't soak into the chalkiness. So you've got to use a stabilizing solution, and that works on soot as well. So I'll stabilize and solution it, and I would put expanded metal lath on, and then I'd sand and cement it with waterproof in the top coat, and then rub it up nice and then skim it. That's how I'll do it, mate. Bibs and braces. Let's have a look. Right, yeah, before I read any more comments. Oh, this is flipping turned off again. I'll fire this up again now. There are a couple of decent questions that I thought I'd get round to. Come on. Bear with me, guys. What have we got here now? Anthony 1984. Hope all's well. All's good, fella. Mine's not that thick, but hopefully everyone is doing well. Yeah. Flipping heck. Mine's not very thick either, mate, but filled the pram 4 times, so suppose I'm doing something right. That's why I stay in here, mate. It's safer for me to be in here than what it is in the house. Flipping heck. Every time I go near my missus, she just flipping has more kids. What am I going to do here? Scan my finger. Come on. Right. Just whilst this computer's loading up, I'm going to get the questions from before. Jimmy's Building Services. 1 video a day. As you ain't been doing videos this week, I've been making things out of concrete to keep me out of trouble after work. Yeah. Fair play, Jimmy. Sean, Man United Football Club 89. You've burnt out, mate. Take 2 weeks off. Oh, mate. Do you know what? I haven't hit the wall yet, to be fair. I know when the burnout hits me. I had a burnout after COVID. Literally, I think anyone that's self-employed knows about this. There's no such thing as bank holidays. There's no such thing as weekends off. When you're self-employed, it's just pedal to the metal every single day. And I would love to say, sorry, I'm just firing the laptop up, you know. I'm just doing this to get the questions whilst I'm chatting to you guys. Yeah, when you're self-employed, you don't get a day off. I'm never off. I never switch off. You know, even when I'm out having a pint like before, I had a game of snooker with the father-in-law. You know, I'm still talking to people about work and jobs and organising things. So you never really get a day off, do you? Cancel. I'm just going to find these questions now that we got. Oh, cancel. Right, bear with me, guys. Come back to that in a minute. Yeah, COVID. Remember that? Flipping heck. After the pandemic and work went wild, I think I worked 7 days a week for about, literally, I had Christmas off for about 2 years, which was great, you know, for the bank account. The tax man loved me, but it wasn't good for me, mate. I literally woke up one day and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't go in. I literally felt like crying. I mean, it's mad, isn't it? As a man, you know, when do you ever feel like crying? Whatever makes you feel like crying as a bloke. Like, you know, when you're a kid and you hurt your knee, you want to whinge. As a man, you never really ever feel like crying, do you ever? I suppose maybe if you lose your parents or, you know, someone close to you passes away. But flipping heck, yeah, I just felt sad. I had to basically have about a month off, which was horrendous because then all the added stress of cancelling all your jobs or putting them all back. But yeah, so I have burnt out in the past, but I'm nowhere near burnout now. I'm all right. Right, I need to click on that. Your channel. Give me 2 seconds. Time me. Community. I should be faster at this. And we have got comments section there. Perfect. There we go. Right. Let's put this here so I can look at you guys whilst I'm. Right. Pete Spencer has asked, "Hey Kirk, hope you're all good. I've been plastering for over 10 years and had a weird one last week that I've never encountered. I double boarded a sealant 20 meters squared after putting in some steels and skimmed as usual. It seemed to dry pretty fast on the first coat, but the second coat went on okay and finished nicely. Came in the next day and you could see some crazing underneath the top coat, and some areas it had come through. Had to scrim it up and re-skim it. I've had this before on old walls that haven't been sealed adequately, but never on freshly boarded plasterboard. Any ideas why this could have happened?" The only two things that strike me straight to mind, mate, if your finish is crazed on plasterboard, direct heat. I've had issues in the past where it's been like, you know, a sauna in a conservatory, for instance, and the finish dried out before it's set, so that delaminates. You know, it comes off the plasterboard, it falls off. So you could have potentially done it over direct heat if you've had wind blowing through. You know, if you've had a breeze. I don't know what the sort of circumstances that you did the sealing were, but if you dry plaster out before it has chance to set, it should set and then dry out. If it dries out before it's set, then you have these issues. So it could be that it was hot. It could be that you had wind blowing through. And also, if you've used old boards, any of you lads will know that have done this for a while, if you skim over old boards, they become like high suction. So you end up having to PVA old boards. So potentially, mate, if you've used old plasterboards, they're the only three things, without sort of seeing what you were up against, with pictures or sort of knowing a bit more info, that I could sort of pinpoint for you, mate. Let's have a look. Ryan 89. All right, Kurt, got a question about serrated edges for bonding. I've started using them as it easily highlights the low spots and makes the wall flatter and easier for me. Would you anticipate any problems skimming over the lines that the edge leaves? Cheers, mate. No, as long as you can skim over it, mate. Now, the thing with serrated edges, depending on whether you use serrated edge, there's all different types of serrated edges that you can get. So I've got some H profile feather edges. Well, they're not feather edges, they're like a straight edge, but they're a H shape, so that it's just one nice little blade, and they're serrated. Now the serrations in that are quite deep, so I wouldn't want to skim over that because that'd be horrendous. But then I've got a Derby that's serrated, and literally it's just tiny little notches out the edge of the Derby. I mean, I'd say about 1 mil or 2 mil. I could potentially skim over that. So all it boils down to, mate, is whether you think you could skim over how thick the serrations are. Obviously, the smooth and closed is going to use a lot less gear than serrated, so it's just going to potentially using a lot more finishing plaster. But here's a thing for you, right, that you could try. I understand what you're saying with the serrated edge showing up hollows and misses, because it's very easy to see then. I mean, I can sort of, you can quite easily see without a serrated edge, but I know it's a lot easier with a serrated edge. You can really see where it has and hasn't been hit with it. But once it's done, once you've got the wall filled out and full and flat and you're happy with it, as the bonding starts to change, like literally as it starts to change colour, you can sometimes feel it goes hard behind. There's just like a slimy little skin on the surface. When it gets to that point, just try, maybe on one wall, flick a load of water at it and give it a good hard trowel. You'll probably get rid of all the serrated marks and close it in. And then when you come to skim it, you'll find that you use hardly any finish compared to if you leave it sort of torn and open, if that makes sense, mate. But otherwise, no, mate. You as long as you think you can skim over it, then that's fine. It's just more gear, that's all. And finish isn't cheap now, is it? £10 a bag or thereabouts. Andrew Barraclough. Hi, Kirk. Is it okay to skim over expanding foam? Scrim over it first. Does it need sealing with SBR? Can a hard wall... You've got a few questions in here, mate. Can hardwall be used on plasterboard as well as brick, or do you have to use bonding on it and vice versa? I know ideally you would stick to its original purposes, but just wondering what happens if you just use one product for everything. Read more. Bear with me. Everything on a job. Okay, so start with the first question. Is it okay to skim over expanding foam? Right. Don't call me a cowboy. I've skimmed over expanding foam and I didn't seal it. It just skimmed over. It was fine. So yes, you can do it. Here's the problem with it. Here's the issue with skimming over expanding foam. It depends where it is. So, for instance, I've turned up in the past to a job, little hole in the ceiling like this. Yeah. I've just... because we're doing this quick, we've got to get in and out, job done, just patch it up for the builder and go. I've gone in, slid a bit of plasterboard in above where the hole is. It's only, it's only so big. Bit of plasterboard above it, filled it with foam, done. Give that 20 minutes, let it set, cut the foam off flush, put some scrim over it, SBR'd around it. Well, I SBR'd it first. I always do your sealer first. If you're going to do a little patch when you turn up, the minute you turn up, put the sealer on. That can be drying whilst you're cutting out and doing whatever else you're doing. But anyway, scrimmed it up and skimmed it. Fine. There's no issues with it. The only problem is that expanding foam is soft. So if someone, say for instance, you did it on a wall in a highly, travelled area, and someone come along and went, you've only got 1 mil or 2 of finish for the strength. So you could potentially break it quite easy. A sand and cement wall, if you try and hit it with something, isn't going to damage. Whereas if the background is just foam, then it's very weak. So I would sort of say, if you're going to use filler foam, sort of do it in places where potentially can't be touched or won't be knocked. And it's good to have all these sort of like little tricks up your sleeve, isn't it? Ideally you wouldn't use filler foam. You would cut out and put a piece of plasterboard in there, or use whatever background that you are patching up. Ideally you want to use the same material to patch it up. So if you've got a sand and cement wall with a hole in it back to the brick, ideally you want to put sand and cement back in there. Same with lime plaster, lime back in there, plasterboard back in there. Ideally you want to replace it like for like. But we live in the real world, so sometimes that just doesn't happen. It could happen, but circumstances, people that want to pay different prices than what, so yes, you can use foam. Not ideal. If it's in an area where it could potentially get knocked into, I would cut the foam back a bit deeper and then fill it with thicker plaster, because sometimes, you just can't get anything to fill out a certain part of the wall or a certain part of the ceiling. Doesn't seem to be any logical way of filling it with plasterboard. There's nothing to fix to or whatever. You can put foam in there, but try and cut it back deep enough to get some backing plaster in there and then some finish, so at least you've got something, a bit more substantial in case it gets knocked. But yeah, it's doable, and you don't need to seal it. That's the first part of your question answered, mate. The second bit: can hardwall be used on plasterboard as well as brick, or do you have to use bonding on it and vice versa? So hardwall is designed for high suction backgrounds and bonding for low suction backgrounds. So if you're going to float on top of plasterboards, and I know people say, your plasterboard should be perfect, you shouldn't need to put bonding on and all this. If you're doing a hand cove ceiling and it's boarded and that's boarded and you've got to curve this bit, then you do have to use back coat plaster, don't you? In those situations, ideally bonding is what is designed to go on there. Hardwall, I wouldn't like to sort of chance it. Have I ever done it in the past? I think potentially I may have used hardwall on plasterboard in the past and not had any issues, but I wouldn't recommend it. And it's more expensive than bonding. So I know what you're saying. It's nice to have sort of, one set plaster for all situations. But that isn't the case, mate. It's not a luxury we've got. But I mean, British Gypsum have got rid of bonding and tough coat, and they've made it very, very simple. They've literally made it very simple. So they've got anywhere that potentially is brickwork. If you wanted to just keep things dead simple and straightforward for yourself, any brickwork that has got no cavity, potential damp issues, British Gypsum sell dry coat. Use that in those situations. Any situations where you've got bare brick, hardwall, and any situations where it's been sealed. So if you PVA'd a wall and you need to straighten it out, or you've put SBR on, or you've got plasterboard, all those sort of situations where you need to put back coat plaster on, you've got bonding. And then you've got two finishing plasters, board finish and multi-finish. I always sort of say, I use board finish for everything. It sets a bit faster and polishes a bit quicker. But then multi is quite nice depending on what you're doing. If it's a massive hand cove ceiling, then multi-finish is quite nice to use because it comes back. But my saying, which is a bit of a shit saying really, I probably shouldn't use this. Board finish is for plasterers, multi-finish is for beginners, but it's not the case. It's not the case at all. But basically, multi-finish is a great little product for anyone that's starting out, simply because you can wet it, you can brush it, you can flick a bit of water on, and it does come back fatty again. So you've got a little bit extra time with it, whereas board finish seems to, once it's sort of gone off, there's not really much you can do with it. Now, don't take that offensively when I say multi-finishes for beginners. I still use multi-finish. If the customers buy multi-finish, I'll use it. And if we've got a massive hand cove ceiling, then I'll use it then as well. So it's just a bit more of a pain in the ass because it takes longer to go off. And if you're trying to do like, 2 decent sized gauges or 3, then multi-finish can be a bit of a nightmare for you. So I use board finish and I put accelerator in it as well. I put half time in it. So, right. Jimmy, 87. Hi, Kirk. Sorry if I seem to be going on a bit. You don't know, mate. No problem. Have you ever done a plastering job where you've gone out to give a quote and the existing plaster seems solid, so you price it up just for a reskim? Then, when you actually start the job, you then notice hollow blown plaster that you didn't notice before. So then, obviously, you have to hack it off. But then doing so, the whole existing plaster on that wall comes off with it, like sheets of glass, which means more and more work involved, resulting in longer, read more, longer for the whole job to complete, plus extra materials that the customer will have to buy, i.e. hardware. Would you say to the customer, look, unfortunately, we've had to get right back to the brickwork. I'm going to have to add extra money on the labour. Or would you stick to your original price when you gave them the quote and just accept that there's extra time and work for no additional cost? Jimmy. I've been there loads of times, mate. So, what Jimmy's saying is, if you turn up to do a job and the job looks fine and you price to reskim it, and then when you go to do the job, you discover that there's a lot more involved, there's plaster coming off and you need base coat plaster and what have you. Do you bill the customer more, or do you just take the bullet and do it for the price that you stated? So, here's what I do now, because this bit me in the arse quite a few times when I started doing private work. I never personally billed anybody more money. Talking about billing jobs and pricing jobs, I always seem to price my jobs now. Price the job up, price the materials up. I give them, worst case scenario, best case scenario, but we'll get to that in a minute. I also then put a little bit of profit on the job. I don't just do it for the bare cost price. This is what a lot of plasterers do. They seem to be just trying to work out what is the bare minimum we can do a job for, what is the absolute cheapest price we can do it for, which is great to be able to do for people that, if you can do it like a charity job, and help someone out, and that's great. But a lot of people that I work for want the best quality work, and they don't mind sort of paying a decent price for it. Not everybody is driving around in a 20-year-old Corsa like my daughter, right? The cheapest car we could find. Some people don't mind paying more money for a bit of a nicer car. People that are driving around in Ferraris aren't complaining about the price of a Ferrari. Do you know what I mean? So same with plastering. Not everybody wants the cheapest price. Yes, there are some people quite happy to pay whatever it costs to have the job done nice. So a lot of times when I price jobs up, I'll put extra on the job, a little bit of profit in your business, because ultimately, as the year goes on and there's dips and falls in the building game, every business can't run at cost, because as soon as hard times come, you're gonna go under, aren't you? If soon as a bit of a recession, you're gonna go bust. So I put a little bit of extra on most of my jobs, so that when I have something like this come up, I don't have to charge the customer more money. I've sort of got a bit of backup money, it's not a problem. It's going to be another couple of days and what have you, and we just do it, and then I can honour the price that I've told them. That being said, going back to what I originally said before, when I look at a job, Jimmy, I will say to the customer, okay, here's what I recommend we do. You tell me what you want. We'll have a discussion on what the outcome that they want. Do they want it just tarting up? Do they want it looking nice? Do they want it, guaranteed that it's going to be perfect forever and we take it all back off and start again? Or what ultimately do they want? And then I tell them potential issues we might find that we're going to have loose plaster. So every single job that I go and look at, every single reskim job that I go and price, I tell this to the customer. We may potentially find hollow parts of the wall. If we do, I would recommend that we do this, this, and this, and it'll be extra. And they'll want to know how much, so sort of work that out as well. or we can just skim over it. We can put mesh over it and skim over it, you know, and 90% chance it won't crack, but, you know, can't guarantee that. Just explain everything. Just be as transparent with the customers as you possibly can. And you shouldn't have these issues, really. But no one told me this. It took me a while figuring that out for myself, that you've got to sort of, you know, have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D for jobs, because it's not always plain sailing. And then sort of, depending on where you're working, you'll sort of get to know the houses that you're working in and know what you're up against. So, like, I know there's a certain area where I live, and I know if I get a phone call and they live on such and such estate, which I'm not going to mention, but I know your living room wall, I don't care which house or which street you live on, I know your living room party wall and your upstairs party wall is knackered. I know they're hanging off. Every single house I've ever worked on that estate, the walls are hanging off. So, anyway, that's how I'd get around it, mate. I don't like billing customers more money. It really grates on people when you come at them for more money. So I would rather, in the grand scheme of things, if it took me an extra day, I'd rather take it on the chin and explain to them, listen, this has happened. I've had to do this and this and this. This is all extra that I hadn't accounted for, but I'm going to honour my words here. I'm going to do it for the prices. You know, I'm going to do what I said for you. I'm going to do all this extra work for you. And I don't charge them extra. They may give you a tip. They may thank you and give you a tip. But ultimately, mate, they're going to go away and recommend you to everybody. And they're going to say, look, he gave us a price. He didn't change it. He done this, this, and this. He had to do extra work and he didn't bill us for it, you know. And you're going to get recommended and you're going to get 10 more jobs out of it. As opposed to if you bill them more money and they haven't budgeted for it and it hurts them financially. You know, they can't afford to have the room decorated or whatever because you've took that money. Then they're going to sort of like tell other people, oh, yeah, well, he said this and then he charges more money, which, don't know. My personal view on it is just sort of bite the bullet. But then going forward, make sure you don't end up in the same trap again, mate. Right. Where are we up to in the comments on here? Sorry, guys, just going to scroll back. Jeff Jones is online. How you doing, Jeff? There's how many comments have come in? I'm going to blitz through these comments as fast as I possibly can. Right. TB, does slapping loads of water on make a bad finish? No, but it makes a mess. Try and keep the water to just what is needed. Don't put too much water on. If you're putting water on when you're flattening in, then you need to go a lot faster. You only want to be using a little bit of water for the second and third trowel, basically. Not on the polish, and then you'll be okay. But remember, the more that you put on, potentially more comes off, and that makes a mess everywhere. So just use what's needed. Pete Spencer. Okay, guys, I'm just going to go rapid fire through these questions quick, through these comments. Pete Spencer, hi, Kirk. Hope you're well. Ever had a first coat of skim dry too fast on new plasterboard and craze underneath the top coat? Any idea why that could happen? I think, Pete, I've just answered your question on here. Yeah, usually, I've done a video on, I can't remember what it's called now, but if you go in my videos, there's a video on setting times and why no one can give you a specific time, and it's because there's variables that we can't always control. Temperature, wind, suction, we can control suction, but different variables can cause the first coat to go off, mate. So have a look at that video, see what you think of that. And I have potentially answered your question a couple of minutes ago. So Darren Clayton, nice one, Kirk. Where do you get stabilizing solution from? Cheers, mate. Okay, guys, you can get stabilizing solution from Screwfix. That'll be the most widely known place for you all to get it from if you want to get stabilizing solution. You can order it online. There's a few different brands. Everbuild do it. Sandtex do it, I think. I've got a bottle here. Wait a minute. How lucky is that? There you go. Sandtex stabilising solution. I think that's a screw fix jobby, that one. Primes and stabilizes, chalking, weathered and porous surfaces, easy application. That isn't the end of the process. You don't just put that on, skim over it. You've got to put that on, let that dry, and then seal it like normal. That isn't a sealer as such. That just gets rid of the chalky dustiness. But screw fix, and any big decorating store will sell that. Jimmy's building surfaces. How's the silicon rendering job coming on? That base coat looks like hard work. Jimmy, it's a flipping. That base coat's horrendous, mate. It sticks like shit to a blanket. It's flipping. Oh, I've had to use an old trowel and an old handboard, and already the build-up started. I'm bedding the meshing at the minute, so I bed the meshing with a coat and let that go off, and then I put another coat over the top. You can't rule it off. I can't think what the product's called. Rear Mix. Something rear mix. It's got a good name, hasn't it? Rear mix, like flipping comes out the rear of you. It's horrendous. You can't rule it. The minute it goes on the wall, it starts to form a skin on the top, and if you literally within minutes, and if you try and rule it, all that happens is the skin clumps up, like when you scrape the skin off rice pudding. It just does that. So literally you have to put it on the wall, and then the only thing you can do with it is try and put it on as flat as possible, and then rub it up with a wet sponge. That's about all you can do. I mean, I've spoke to the reps about it, and I think it's a fantastic product. Once it's set, it never comes off. It genuinely is like, I've got a handboard, and stay there 1 second. I'll show you something. Where is it? Where did I put it? Oh, where's it gone? Oh, I can't find it. I'll have to show you another time. I've got a handboard in there with build up about that thick on it, and literally I can show you. I can bend the handboard until it's basically creasing. I've hit it with hammers, everything. It doesn't matter. The stuff does not come off. Once it's set, it is so flexible. I mean, you can just whack it with a hammer and it doesn't shatter. It just gets a little dint in it. It's horrendous stuff, but good gear. Just a nightmare to work with. Jimmy's also said, on a different subject, I put a face to Danny Arbuckle. He was up in Scotland on tour with the Plastering lads. Yes. Who organised that? Stuart from Trowel Talk organised a big get together with all the lads. I think he's all had a good drink, didn't you? Jeff Jones, Philip Gregson. Best mix for scratch coat and top coat rendering ratio, mate. Love video, helping me a lot. Okay. Best mix for scratch coat and top. Depending on what you're going over, mate. Depending on what you're going over. But a sort of my sort of fail safe that I'm happy to sort of recommend to most people to get over most backgrounds is a 4-to-1 mix. And I like to use grit sand, not building sand. So red building sand is not really ideal for plastering. Loads of fellas use it, but I wouldn't recommend it. It can crack very easily. It doesn't really set that hard. If you use a grit sand, a wash sand, sharp sand, they just set and go hard a lot better. But I'd use a 4-to-1 mix most of the time, unless the background really weak, if it's like thermalite block or something, and then obviously do a weaker mix. But you can literally, if you wanted to sort of get a guarantee, whatever cement you're using, be it Cemex or whatever, go on their website and they will have specification sheets on what ratio sand cement to use over different backgrounds, and you can just literally search out the background you want and look at the ratio that they recommend their product. That's the good thing, guys. If you don't know, literally whatever product you're using, they will have product sheets for you, you know, product data sheets to explain everything for you. You can't really get it wrong, you know. You can just sort of stick to what the manufacturer recommends. Pete Spencer. Thanks for answering, Kirk. I feared the boards could be old as the customer supplied them. Yeah, probably been sat in someone's garage for about 6 years. If you ever come across old boards again, what I tend to do is just PVA them. 1 part PVA for, you know, 3 parts water, like a quarter mix. Doesn't have to be that strong, but it just gives you, puts them back to where they originally would have been, you know. Philip Gregson, and one more question, mate. Best tool used to get walls straight. The best tool to get the wall straight is a feather edge rule. Rule off of a feather edge. That's about the best way of doing it, mate. If you wanted to sort of make it easier, because you can reapply that as you sorry, you can't see, as you're ruling off with your feather edge, the stuff tends to just be stuck on the feather edge and you can't do anything with it. So you've got to go back over to your bucket or your spot and shake the stuff off and then reapply it with a handboard and trowel. If you wanted to make life a bit easier, use a derby. It's got 2 handles on it, and as you rule off, you can reapply the stuff. But a derby doesn't get it quite as flat as a feather edge. Close, but, you know, not quite as flat. Anthony, 1984. Yeah, definitely old boards. He's agreeing. Gino, nice one, Kirk. Watch you lots and loving your comments. Been plastering for 35 years. Keep doing what you're doing. Great stuff. Mate, cheers. Nice one, Gino. Appreciate the nice comments. Do you know what? There's a few people in here. There's a few subscribers that always comment on my stuff, and I genuinely look forward to them. Like, I can see there's a comment from Andy coming up in a second. There's one first. Ireland, 1968. Hi, mate, from Fla, F-L-A. I don't know where that is, mate. I think it's pronounced Flay, but I'm not sure. But cheers, mate, anyway. Nice to have you on board. Andy, any chance you can turn your screen so it's landscape? No, because when I do, it says rotate. YouTube Live wants it to be that way. Sorry, mate. If that's a pain in the ass for you. Sorry, guys. 1 second. This is the joy of having a window. Look at this now. Look, I'm going to embarrass her. Come back. What do you want? Do I want a pancake? Look at me. I'm 17 stone. Of course I want a pancake. Make sure there's lemon and sugar on it. I love you. That's my middle daughter. See how well I get looked after. This is the good thing about this little window. It's a serving hatch, basically, where they feed me. I'm like a flipping zoo animal, aren't I? Just getting fed. Tim Bell. Got that half-time stuff you use for skimming. Saved me at least an hour on Wednesday evening. Where do you buy the bulk box? Okay, mate, so if you want to buy half-time in bulk, best thing to do is go on the website, Easy Mix. They sell you the stuff in, you know, you can buy it bulk on there. Alternatively, if you're on Facebook and you're in the groups, you'll potentially come across a fellow called Mark Shepherd. Now, he probably won't appreciate me saying this because ultimately he wants to drive people through his website. So, you know, it's all automated. If you're on the Facebook groups, plastering groups, Mark Shepherd is in pretty much most of them, and he's the guy that makes the stuff. And on top of that, not only does he make a great product, he's actually a really nice bloke, dead easy to get on with, sound fella. So you could always reach out to him and message him. Mark Shepherd, absolutely sterling bloke. We went up and rendered his. I'll tell you a funny story, actually. We went up and rendered his house for him, and he's up in Blackburn. So we're up there, and when we've gone to render his house, now we've gone off to get some dinner, and we've come back. Now Mark's organised the scaffolding, and it's only the back of his house. It's not It's not on a big highway or nothing. It's just sort of like tucked out the way a little bit. And he's had the scaffolding put up. Now, I sort of know that when you have scaffolding done, it should be like tagged. You know, it's been like signed off. Now, I'm not sure whether this was or wasn't. I had nothing to do with it. I know when I have scaffolding done, I sort of, you know, just get it up. Doesn't have to be mint, just as long as it's up, you know, and we can get to the job. So I'm not sure whether this scaffolding is tagged or not. Now, I'm not from the area either, and there's a high population of the Asian community in Blackburn. So the reason I'm telling you that is because a lot of the times, you know, if an official comes out, you know, they're being shirt and tie and a high vis and all that, but I'm not sure if, you know, people of the Muslim faith, when they have the robes on and all that, if they have to wear, you know, a shirt and tie. I think that, you know, if that's your get up, that's what you wear, that you sort of can get away with it. Sort of like how Sikhs allowed to, you know, ride a motorbike without a helmet, they can just wear a turban. So this is what I'm ultimately getting to. We've come back after dinner, and there's this fella, and he's, you know, he's in his robe, like, and he's sort of like stood across the road, and he's just watching us. And we're on the scaffold, and he's just watching everything we're doing. And he's got a little notepad out, writing stuff down. And I'm thinking, flipping heck, this guy must be from the council. He must be like, you know, I know he hasn't got a suit on and a high vis, but he's got his, like, you know, his Muslim kit on, like, you know, his big white robe and all that. He must be from the council, come to check up on this job. He might be health and safety, who knows? So he stood there watching us. And after about 40 minutes of him just stood there, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to go and check this guy out, like, and find out what's going on here, because we potentially could be getting in trouble. Oh, thanks, sweetheart. Okay. Here's the pancake. I love you too as well. Thank you, babe. So it goes down, like, you know, I said, you all right, mate? He's like, yeah, what are you doing? Here we go. I said, we're just gonna render the back of this house, like. All right, can I have a look? Here we go. So I'm thinking, yeah, come on, mate. Yeah, sound. So he comes over. Right, it's interesting. Next minute, can I go up? Can I go up and see? Can I? So yeah, so up he goes and he's looking round, and I'm thinking, yeah, this is it now. We're gonna get someone on the phone. There's gonna be health and safety down here. The job's gonna get put on hold and everything. So, and then he said, oh, I live up the road. Can you come and give me a price? So he wasn't no one important. He was just a bloke walking past. And he's up on the scaffolding, stopping the job so he can have a look what's going on. I was like, listen, mate, you have to beat it. We're busy. We haven't got time for this. Flipping nuts. Oh, but, you know, when you don't know who someone is, and I didn't, you know, you can't suss him out because he didn't have a suit on, and, you know, well, oh, flipping anyway. Go on. Flipping sling you up, mate. We've got work to get doing. Pete Spencer. Right, oh, here we go. Right, Anthony, 1984, do quite a bit of site work, and then he plasterboard sitting for 5 or 6 weeks without being plastered. I would definitely be sealing it, mate. Yeah, there we go. There's Eric. Ask the plasterer. Evening all. Change me channel name, Kirk. Yes, I know it's you, mate. How are you doing, Eric? You all right, mate? Jimmy's Building Services. Remember to do 2 different 4-in-1 scratch coat, then 5-in-1 top coat, so the expander can track different rates for Philip. Yes, there you go, mate. Jeff Jones, evening, Eric. Oh, Ireland, 1968. Great banter, mate. Florida. He's in Florida. Flipping heck. You know how to make me feel depressed, mate. I'm in flipping sunny Ellesmere Port here. We have had nice weather today, though. Florida. Flipping heck, mate. What are you doing watching plastering? If you're in Florida, you should be flipping sunbathing. Jimmy's Building Services. After the Scotland tour, after the plaster, I bet it was a good laugh. I bet it was as well. Big Chris. I'm late again, lol. But here now, playing catch up now. How you doing? Ronnie Barker. My old mate Ronnie. How you doing, Ron? Evening, people. Have I missed the pancakes, lol? Yeah, sorry, Ron. Big Chris got a garden wall to render for a friend. Do I wet the wall down first before putting my render on, or just put it on dry wall? Cheers, fella. Okay, so, right, here's a little tip for you. Rendering. Always damp the background down. You don't want to put any wet plaster on a dry background unless it's sealed or it's damp. So obviously, if you're going to skim, you're going to seal it on. You're going to use PVA, blue grit, flipping SBR, whatever. But if you're rendering, you damp the walls down. You don't want to put your render on the wall and the wall to suck the moisture out of your material before it's had a chance to set, because then it doesn't set, it's just dry, you know, just turns back to dust again. So here's a way of doing it. Get yourself a hose pipe, get yourself a few different hose pipe attachments for outside taps and inside taps. I've literally got about, you know, I don't know, 40 meters of hose pipe in there that all connect together with all the different attachments you can ever think of for attaching. I can attach to anyone's tap. All right, I'm nearly as good as the fire brigade. I can nearly get onto a hydrant with all the different attachments that I've got. But basically, you want to make it so you can always get water hosed up to wherever you're working. Soak the wall, especially externally. Internally, you don't need to soak it as much because you haven't got to deal with the sunlight and what have you. Drench the wall as much as humanly possible. Literally, you want it, you know, have the hose pipe on it for as long as possible. Then when you stop and you look down the wall, you'll see like a shine, like a shimmer, like the water like twinkling, you know. And what you want to do is don't render it when it's wet. When there's water still running down the wall, don't touch it yet. Wait until that shimmer, that glisten has gone. As soon as that's gone and there's no water on the surface, the brickwork will still be soaked, like damp through, but there's no water on the surface. Then start rendering. Then you're good to go. If you don't do that, you know, the job will still work, but ultimately it won't last as long. Ultimately, you know, if your background sucks all the moisture out your mix, it's just bad practice, really. You know, it's just, for the sake of wetting it down, it takes a little bit longer, but, you know, it just makes it a far better job, in my opinion. Right, these boys are talking about Edinburgh. Right, I've got, there is one or two more questions that I didn't get answered on here as well, so let's just click on these. Now, whilst this is loaded up again, guys, if you didn't know, if you didn't already know, DEWALT Mega Mixers are absolutely amazing. DEWALT cordless mixers, I call them mega mixers, but you know, a DEWALT cordless mixer is a fantastic bit of kit. You haven't got to carry a generator, you haven't got to carry a 110. I mean, how many times if you're plastering you have to listen to that 110 buzzing? It makes you sick, doesn't it? You know, bzzz, all day listening to it. Drives me flipping mad. So I would say one of the single best investments I ever made was getting one of those DEWALT cordless mixers with the two big 9 amp hour batteries that you can use on your impact gun. The batteries all interchange. Even the big 9 amp hour batteries, the flex volts, you can swap and put them on any other DEWALT battery tool. So fantastic investments. I literally, if mine broke now, I've got 2 refiner mega mixers, so I'll be okay. Refiner mega mixers are the daddies of mixing whisks. All my rendering jobs are used with refiners, but for skimming now, all I want to do is use my DEWALT cordless mixer because it's so easy. Take it anywhere, mix up in the back of the van. Kieran can mix up in the back of the van. We don't need any power. Fantastic. Now, I'm banging on about this so much because I'm giving one away. If you would like to win one, then go in the description of this video and put your name on the list. Once everyone's name's on the list, at the 30th of next month, I'm going to pull a name out of the hat. It's going to cost you money, by the way. You don't just put your name on the list and you win it for free. You're going to have to pay. you know, a little bit. I think it's 16 quid now. It was going to be 20. I was going to do 20, but I thought it's a little bit much. 16 quid, I think, is a fair price. There's a link in the description. The whisk is worth like 650 quid, is the cheapest I can get one for. The average around about 700 quid. So for 16 quid, I think it's fair enough. There's a link in the description. You can put your name on the list. The 30th of next month, I pull a name out. Someone is going to win basically 700 quid's worth of tools for 16 quid. So, and the versatile. Single best thing, like I say, if mine broke now, I'd instantly buy another one tomorrow because it's one of the best tools I've ever had. So, if you want a chance to win it, then link in the description. Right, let's get down to the next question in here. Richard Cook. Richard Cook. Hi, Kirk. I asked a question before on episode 8 regarding packing out over car light finish walls. I need to pack out one of the walls by at least an inch, possibly more, to get it level. I'm concerned that I'll put too much thickness on the wall and the backing plaster won't hold its own weight. If you had to pack out a wall with a lot of thickness, how would you do it? Cheers. Okay, Richard, nice, simple little answer for you, mate. Nice and concise. Give your wall a coat of blue grit. Gives you a bit of a key. And then use some bonding coat plaster. Now, the thing with bonding coat, and the thing with hard wall as well, but hard walls for high suction backgrounds, if you've blue gritted it to give it a key, then, you know, you're sort of defeating the object by using hard wall, because then it's a low suction background. But anyway, bonding coat is for low suction backgrounds. It's got the aggregate in it is basically polystyrene. It's not polystyrene, it's exfoliated vermiculite or something like that. I can't think what it's called. Someone on here will probably fill it in a minute saying, no, you got it wrong, it's this. But anyway, it's like polystyrene, mate. It's super lightweight, so you can build out, you know, quite a lot of thickness very easily. That's what I'll do, mate. Bonding coat, you'll be fine with it. So, to answer your question, I think that's it for questions on the community section. Right, guys, let's just see what I've missed out on these comments here. My pancake's probably stone cold by now, but Jimmy's building services mixed up with a bike cog welded to a pole before. That was hard. Yeah, the podger. The podger. I had to mix with a pool cue and a podger, mate. It was the only way my dad would let me learn. So, Ronnie Barker, Jimmy, you didn't have an out left in the tank after the mix. Never mind, lay it on. Yeah. So I know all about this, mate. So what was funny was I had a podger when I first started out. Basically a bike cog with the spikes ground off, so it's a nice little circle. Big cog from the front where the pedals are, with a pole welded to it and a little T at the top, you know, for pumping the gear up and down like this. So you'd mix it with a pool cue or a bit of roof batten first, and then once you got the right consistency, you finish it off with a podger. Now, the easiest way to mix with a podger is to sort of row it. Like, you want the stuff to turn over in the bucket as opposed to just pumping it up and down. That doesn't seem to mix it as fast. But here's the thing. So the fella that made ours for us lived down the road from us. You know, he worked in a shipyard building ships. So my dad said to him, can you make us a podger? Give him the bits and bobs. And then this was before mobile phones. And he had sort of popped past and asked the question to my mum on his way to work, you know, how high do you want it? How big do you want it? Now, this fella, he's dead small, he's tiny, he's Mick Donahue, lovely bloke, right? But he's only short. He's about, I don't know, 5 foot or something. So the word gets back, and my dad tells me, mum, like, oh, just tell him make it waist height. So he made it waist height for him, and not for us. Now, my dad's a bit shorter than me. I'm not the tallest fella in the world. I think I'm about 5'11" or something. But this podger was down there. I mean, it just about come out the top of the skin bucket. I'm trying to mix up. And, you know, my hands are only that far away from flipping going in the gear with the thing. So it's an absolute pain in the ass. And these... I don't know if like times were harder or if my dad was just a minge bag, but back then that was just all I had. Nothing got changed. I didn't get a new one bought for me or a bigger one made. That's what you're using. That's the end of it. So, oh, what a flipping pain in the ass. Like Ronnie's saying here, the youngers don't know how lucky they are. Kieran moans about having to clean off the cordless whisk. I mean, he's never mixed a bucket by hand in his life, and he moans that cleaning the whisk off in between every mix is a pain in the ass for him. So, how times have changed, though. How times have changed. I used to be worried about, you know, if I could carry 5 bags of plaster at once. Kieran wants to see if he can send 5 text messages at once whilst he's mixing up at the same time. Jimmy's building says, I'm only 35. He said it would make a plasterer out of me, separating the men from the boys. Yeah. I tell you what, mate. When you've been on site and you've mixed all day with a podger, I mean, when you've loaded up plasterboards, like you turn up to the job and there's 5 pallets of boards outside, and it's your job to get them in all day up 3 flights of stairs and all sorts. And then you finish that and you're absolutely knackered, and you've got to mix dry wall adhesive by hand. We used to mix it with a shovel, a 45-gallon drum, chopped in half, 3 or 4 bags of bonding or bonding compound, dry wall adhesive, and then we'd have a shovel to mix it with, you know, to turn it over. Absolutely horrendous. What I did was I got the ground workers, they cut it down for me with the still saw. So me shovel made it into more like a grafter. You know, it was quite thin, so it cut through the stuff easier, a lot faster to mix with. I tried it. It was still there. Sorry, the internet said it was reconnecting. I don't know if you can see me or not. I can't see any of the comments. All I can see is there's 75 people online. Can't see any comments whatsoever, lads. So let me know you're there. Give me a thumbs up. Hit the like button just so I know if you can see me. So we might have to just cancel it. Oh, there we go. There, we're back. Right. Oh, we've got another comment held for review. I could do lives, you know, and just read flipping comments that I get that are held for review, because on my computer, on all the videos I do, there's always, I don't know who it is, I'd love to know what's going on, because they watch me videos and there's always 2 thumbs down on me. If you go on any of my videos, you'll always find at least 2 people putting the thumbs down, right? And I get these comments held for review all the time, and it's basically just different people giving me a bit of shit, which is quite good, really. I quite enjoy it, to be honest with you. It's quite entertaining. And here's one of my favourite ones, Andrew Hewitt. He's just commented, and it's come up straight away, comment held for review. I don't even think Andrew Hewitt can write a comment to me now without it being held for review. I think YouTube's watching you, Huey. I think you're under flipping the microscope. So, but anyway, Andrew Hewitt has kindly wrote, "Fuck plastering off and plasterers." So, Andrew normally writes nice stuff to me like, "Bore off, I fucking hate plasterers." Anyway, Andrew, you miserable little sod. Hope you're doing okay, mate. It's Sunday. Have you had your Sunday dinner, mate? Hope you've had a few beers. We're still here. Us boring plasterers that you hate. Oh, flipping nuts. The thing is, Andrew, just bear in mind, keep this one thing in mind, mate. The more you interact with my channel by commenting, the more comments you write and the more things that you do, the more YouTube's algorithm picks up on it and thinks this is the content you want to see. So if you don't like watching plastering channels, don't comment on them. I mean, I'm not asked. I like your comments. I like your abuse. I get enough abuse off the missus, mate. I quite enjoy it. I'm a bit sick, really. But the more you comment, mate, YouTube watches and thinks that this is the sort of content you like because you're interacting with it. So guess what it's going to do? It's going to give you more of it. So the algorithm's going to feed you more plastering content. So your best bet, mate, is to not watch any plastering videos and not leave any comments, and then you won't see them as much. Little bit of advice for you. Oh, here we go. Yeah, got all the Ronnie Barker. That will be Captain Long. Yeah. Jimmy's Building Services. It's me, Kirk, incognito, doing all the comments I'll review. Jimmy must be a Bricky or a Sparky. Us spreads have a love-hate relationship with those boys. They keep us in work. Paul's trade, killed by kindness, Kirk. You're a humble fellow. Oh, look. Do you know, listen, here's the script in it. I know, coming online, you know, jumping onto the internet. This is, they call it, don't they, your window to the world. You know, the internet's your window to the world. But you've got to remember that it's also the world's window to you. And there's always going to be a few oddballs out there. So, I mean, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. But I knew full well before I post anything on Facebook, before I do anything on YouTube, anything that you do online, there's potentially going to be someone sat at the other end that they want to type horrible things to you. I don't mind it. I like the attention. Ronnie saying he's a Sparky. Hey, listen, do you know what? I can't even slag Sparks off too much. Now, I know there's a love-hate relationship with electricians. And believe me, I do think the majority of electricians are the laziest mummy's boys with their soft little hands in. But here's the fact. Before I go too deep down the rabbit hole, I trained to be an electrician myself, so I can't slag him off too much. When my old fellow was forcing me to be a plasterer, and I didn't want to do it, didn't want to work as a plasterer. I wanted to go in the army, and I couldn't do that. I got talked out of that because it was all kicking off with Bin Laden and 9/11. So then the next thing that I said I'll do is I'll go to college. I didn't want to be a plasterer, so I'll train to be an electrician. So I went to the City and Guilds 236 Part 1 and 2, which has served me quite well. Now, I got into plastering, loved it. I don't ever want to work as an electrician or ever want to do anything else. I genuinely enjoy plastering. I love it. And it's the thing I'm best at as well. But it is good to know, because now I actually understand how electrics work. I can rewire houses, you know, I just can't sign them off. I've actually rewired my mate's house and got it signed off. It's, you know, I can do the job. But what's good is electricians, when they try and pull a fast one, no, we can't do that. No, that can't be done. No, that's how it's got to be. And all this caper, you know, the cables have to be left that long when they don't want to tuck them in the boxes. No, mate. No, you can't pull a fast one on me, son. I know your job inside out. And I also, hey, when they start making the little holes everywhere, start blaming things on plasterers. Hey, two can play that game as well. There's little things I know how to really snook at if I want to. But you shouldn't sabotage anyone's work. Only do it for fun, you know. Never do it seriously. I'm only messing. Anyone watching this thinking he's a cowboy, him? I've never sabotaged anyone's work. But one thing I do say to electricians is, look, tuck your cables in the boxes. You know, you tuck your cables in the boxes for us, so that we can dry line. You know, it's all right if you just do one box. If you're just getting over one wall with one little socket on it, fine. When you come to do like a full house and every single socket has got a cable that's 6 foot long, and they need wrapping up and putting back inside the boxes so you can cut your plasterboard and go over them or whatever you need to do. And you don't want to cut them because, you know, some of the switches, they've all been marked up. You know, if there's 6 wires coming in the back of a light switch, you know, you don't want to cut his markings off. And they've left them all hanging out. You just think, you lazy sod. So I always say to the Sparks, cut them off for us. Cut them off, tuck them in, you know, nice and neat. And we'll keep your boxes nice and clean so that when you come to, you know, do your second fix, you haven't going to start chipping plaster out. But some electricians, it doesn't matter how many times you tell them, they are just adamant they're going to leave the cables hanging right out in your way. They don't clip nothing back. You know, the boxes have only got one screw there, loose and spinning round. And you just, after time and time again, telling the same spark to do his job properly, sometimes the only way to get it across to him is to snip his wire off, you know, nice and give him about that much out of his box so he can't get it into the back of his socket and he has to start using connector blocks and things like that inside it. He'll soon get the hint. I'm not saying do it, I'm just saying, you know, there's ways and means of dealing with these motherfuckers. Right, I'm not saying any more. Sort of let me guard down on this life. You're going to start thinking I'm a bad man. Yeah, Paul's trade. Kirk's politely saying, do your job properly. That's the best way of putting it, mate. Yeah, I always think like this: if I do my job as best as possible, I will literally leave the job spotless, so it's a pleasure for the next guy to come in. I want. Here's the thing: what you got to. Any electricians listening? By the way, I love yous all. Bear this in mind: not just Sparks, anybody that works before the next trade that comes along. Remember this: when the next person that turns up, they know what you should have done. For instance, once I've finished plastering, the joiner's coming next, the plumber's coming next, the sparks coming next. They know how I should leave my job. They know the boxes should be clean. They know the skirting boards, you know, the bottom where the skirting board goes should be cut off nice and square, no big blobs left at the bottom, you know. The floor should be nice and clean. So the next tradesman knows what he should be, you know, he knows what to expect. If you don't leave it nice for the next guy, what's the next guy going to do? He'll slag you off. Usually to the customer, who then logs that and thinks, well, that guy didn't do a proper job. So your recommendations fall off the wagon, you know. Your potential repeat business falls off the wagon because they just think you haven't done a proper job because the tradesman after you is slagging you off. So you're not doing yourself any service. For instance, let's just go back to electricians. If you don't tuck your wires in and you leave all your offcuts and you chase it all out and you leave all the mess on the floor, you don't clean up after yourself. When I turn up, you know, Monday morning, not feeling very happy because it's Monday first thing and I'm groggy, and I'm there like, oh, electricians haven't done this. He should have tucked all these in. Why has he left all this mess? I've got to clean up before I start work. I don't do that, but other plasterers would moan. The customer's just going to think, yeah, that Spark's no good. He's lazy. It doesn't save any time. It costs you work, doesn't it, eventually? Let's have a look. Ronnie Barker, Captain, how can you test a switch works on a multimeter? So you just use the little prongs on the back of it and you're checking basically the potential difference from your neutral to your live. From the front, it's a bit awkward because you've got the earth terminal needs to be engaged for you to be able to get inside those bits. But you can get, there's a little plug-in tester, you can get them from Screwfix, and you literally plug it in, it's got lights on the front of it and tells you, you know, what the fault is with the socket, if there's any fault with it whatsoever. So that's probably your best bet. Do you know what? You can literally, multimeters, they are good little tools because you can do things from the consumer unit, you can bell things out and stuff. But ultimately, as a DIYer, you'll be able to do most things with a little plug-in tester that just plugs into a socket. And I know some Sparks hate these, but the little electrician screwdriver where you put your finger on the back and you can see if there's a live. Literally, most jobs can be solved with just them. What setting do I need it to be on? Right, okay. Sorry. We're going off here, aren't we? We're going to start talking about electrics rather than plastering. But ultimately, you want it on AC, alternating current, and that looks like a little wave. So it looks like the C. You want it on that sort of range, and 240, 230, 240. You know, it'll have like a little range, but you work at 240 volts, and it'll have like a little wave like that. That's the setting that you want to be on, mate. Is there any more comments? Right, guys. Oh, we've done an hour and 43 minutes, and we are nearly 10 o'clock. So, another bite of me stone cold pancake. Before we call it a night, and I crack me can of beer, is there anything else anyone would like to talk about? Any questions before we say bon voyage? Remember, if you want the DEWALT cordless mixer, the link is in the description. Also, I haven't mentioned this for a little while because I've sort of closed the entry for it. My little coaching group has been going from strength to strength. The lads in there, I've been messaging them privately. I haven't got through every single person in the group yet, but massive success. Lads with the diaries filled out, earning ridiculous amounts of money. I don't want to mention names because I don't, it's down to them to tell people their own business. I'm not going to start revealing what people have told me. But ultimately, the lads that are in the group are seeing bigger returns, plenty more work coming in. All the little methods and tips and tricks I told them are all working nicely. So there's a link in the description for that as well. If you would like to join my little private coaching group, I'll show you how to do all social media marketing, basically how to get the phone ringing non-stop. If that sounds good to you, if you want the phone ringing off the hook, if you can handle the pressure of having 1 million flipping people phone you every week, then join my little coaching group. It costs £30 a month. If you do not make 30 quid on your first job after joining the coaching group extra than what you usually earn, then you can have your money back. I'll kick you out the group for being lazy, because genuinely you should pretty much, let's not talk too much about wages, but you'll earn a lot more money. Trust me. Everyone in the group is earning a lot more money than what they used to be, and they're a lot busier than what they used to be, but I can't name names. So if it sounds good, the link's in the description. If you want to win the DEWALT cordless mixer, the link's in the description. There, that's it. There's me advertising done. Sorry for trying to get your money off you. So people say, tries to bleed his subscribers dry. Yeah. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. Flipping can's not open properly. Just have to. There we go. Do we have any questions? Let's have a look. Jeff Jones, have you got any internal Lime videos coming up, Kirk? Little surprise for you there, Jeff. Internal Lime videos, yes. So the thing with the Lime plastering is, I would like to sort of do a series of Lime plastering videos rather than just sort of like a one-off video here and there. If we can sort of do a series and just solely focus on Lime plastering for maybe a week or so, and get a load of videos out covering all the different aspects that you might come across with Lime plaster, I think that's going to be better. So what I've done is, there's a company that supply lime not too far from me, and I've been doing a little bit of talking to them. Not much because I'm flipping mad busy, but we've done 1 or 2 little emails back and forth. And ultimately what I've said to them is, they've got a training centre. said, I want to come down to your training centre, use your products and your training centre for free. Basically, I don't want to have to pay you for it. Make a few videos using your products to show other people how to use your products. So this is like a mutually beneficial thing, because I'm going to be basically showing how to use their gear, which ultimately will lead to more sales for them. It benefits my channel because it covers all the different aspects of lime plastering. But I don't want to pay them, and I don't want them to pay me. There'll be no sort of money changing hands. I just want to go there and use their facilities and not cost me to make the videos that advertise their stuff. So I think that that's quite a good sort of deal. And we've had one or two little messages go back and forth, but ultimately we're waiting on a decision maker, the owner, to sort of give us the okay. Now, I originally thought that they would snap my hand off. So I don't know what the hold-up is, because I thought they would have just said, wow, this guy is going to come down here and advertise our stuff for us. That's a great deal. But I don't know what, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what's holding it up. If they say, yeah, we're going to get a free week, I'll shoot down, I'll do a few different videos and we'll get that boxed off. But as of yet, I haven't heard back. But that's how I'd like to do it. I know it's not a real world scenario where there's going to be, different things. It'll just be like on a standard wall, but the principles will apply. The same plastering principles. It's just different methods, different ways of working with material. That's the only thing that sort of differs with lime. So, but that's where we're at with that. We'll have to just see how things pan out. We'll have to just see what the reply. I'll keep these updated. I'll let you know what's going on. Jimmy's Building Services. Have you and Danny sorted a day yet? No, not yet. We're just waiting on Danny. Danny, if you're watching, well, if Danny was watching, we would have heard a comment off him. So Danny isn't watching yet. But Danny, hope he doesn't mind me telling you this. Danny is in my coaching group, Danny Arbuckle. So he's just a flipping. He's just a barrel of laughs, Danny. All he ever has is banter with me. But the reason I'm telling you this is because me and Danny are in quite close contact with each other. We do seem to be speaking to each other at least once a week. So I'm sure when he's ready, we'll get the video sorted. We've got a day of me and Danny Arbuckle plastering. We've just got to do whatever Danny wants to do. So I'm just going with whatever he says. He can pop to me whenever he feels like, or if he wants me to go to him, that's fine as well. We'll have to sort a date. But as of yet, there's nothing sort of penciled in. But it's in the pipeline, so we'll see. What have we got here now? Ed Nankerville. I think I've said your name right, mate. Excuse me if I haven't. Ed Nankerville. Bostic Sementone don't kill the suction properly. Yeah. Yeah, I use SBR, mate, to be honest with you, for everything. So I just, SBR won't go wrong. Jeff Jones, great news, mate. Look forward to it. Wondered if that's Carrington Line. Was looking at a course there today. Yeah, I don't know if I can tell you the name of the. I don't know if by mentioning it's going to scupper me plans, but Timor. It's a Timor lime, so I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a Welsh word. Richie 94. Hi Kirk, newly qualified to the game, struggling like hell with ceilings on my own. Other than getting a second hand, are there any tips to make them any easier? Struggling with ceilings, Richie. All right, mate. What's the struggle? What's putting you out, mate? Is it going off too quick? Are you dropping too much? Is it? Tell me where you're at, mate. Tell me what you're struggling with, and I'll try and give you the best advice I possibly can. There is a product called Extra Time. I'm not getting paid for this, by the way, in case you think that I'm getting paid to plug his products. Easy mix. You can put this in your plaster if it's going off too quick. That'll give you about an extra hour. One sachet per bag. So every time you mix a bag of multi-finish up, tip one of those in there as well. That can buy you a lot more time. But I don't know, you'll have to elaborate a little bit, mate. Give me a bit more info. Kirk, it's been emotional, mate. Got to go and have a hot pancake and a cold beer. Yeah, guys, I'm going to finish this can of beer. We've done 2 hours. And that tastes lovely. So ultimately, not easy talking straight for 2 hours, you know. Saying that, my missus can manage it. Oh, it's been good catching up with you. Sorry about last week. Richie home at more, so the flattening. Okay, trying to get it down nice. Now, if you're struggling to get it flat on your own, Richie, you get the first coat, you give it the second coat, and then you want to get it flat and you find it's going off a little bit quick. There's a few things you can do. Ultimately, you don't want to be your trials be going over and over and over the same place too many times. You know, you want to work along methodically. Now, best advice I can give you: slow down. I know it sounds counterproductive. Slow is smooth and neat. Smooth and neat is fast. So, you know, rather than going like the clappers, going back and forth over the same bit, making a mess, dropping bits, just take your time and work strategically. You know, you want to overlap your trowel by about that much every time. So a lot of the times you see a fellow, you know, he'll go there and then he'll move along an inch and there and then another inch and there, and you know, he's done 3 strokes and he's only moved over 3 inches, but your trowel is probably, you know, 14, 16, 18 inches long. So if I've got a 16-inch trowel, say, I'm going to be moving over about 14 inches at a time. Every stroke, 14 inches. Do you know what I mean? So your heel will leave a line, overlap that line about that much. You'll go a lot faster. That would be the sort of the best advice I can give you. Take your time, concentrate on what you're doing, and it'll go a lot quicker for you. Let's have a look. Monty Barker, Captain, let's get plastered with Kirk. I was plastered last night, mate. I felt the flipping pain of it today. Do you know what? I must admit, I like a beer. I do love drinking beer, but I very rarely get pissed. I'm not trying to say I'm a big man, I can drink loads of beer. What I mean is I'll literally have like 2 or 3 beers a night, and that's it. You know, maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5. I don't know, but not too many. Do you know what I mean? So I sort of like, I know me limit, you know, where I'm quite content, a little bit tipsy, you know. The missus looks more attractive. Imagine she's watching this. I'm dead, aren't I? I'm flipping dead. Hey, after 18 years, like, you know, you got to do what it takes, haven't you? But yeah, I sort of know where I'm at. I don't get plastered these days, mate. Just a couple of beers just to take the edge off after work, and that's me. I'm quite happy with that. But last night when we were at that flipping barbecue, the beers, you know, every 5 minutes someone's put another can in your hand. Then they were doing little shots, and that's what got me. Them little shots. Someone was doing shots of vodka. Whoa. I mean, you do it, don't you? Because you're stupid. You do it, like, but oh. Why would you want to have a shot of vodka? It just instantly makes you want to chuck up. But we did them. There was no chucking up, but, you know, I won't be doing that again. No time soon. They were actually sound as well. Mrs.'s mates, absolutely spot on, down to earth people. Had a great time with them. Didn't know none of them. And they were all sound as, you know, safe as houses. They were all sound. They were all just like, it was just like, I just felt like I was in the pub with my mates, you know. They were spot on. They were really good. You didn't have to sort of like, you know, sometimes when you meet new people and you're sort of holding a bit back, you know, you don't want them to think that you're, you know, a ruffian or think anything bad of you. So I'm sort of like watching what I'm saying and all that. And then after about an hour of being in the company, I knew, I'm with my own kind here. I can just be myself, you know. It was sound. So definitely be going there again if they have another barbecue. Ronnie Barker asking for Kirk's home, Addy. Well, you break Jimmy on. When you say Addy, Ronnie, are you about my address? Here's the thing as well. You got to be careful because on the internet, I mean, I'm not a hard person to find. I mean, if you Google me, Ronnie, you can find me address. I mean, if you're coming round for a beer, give me some notice, all right? I'll get I'll get my best clothes on. Richie Homer, cheers, mate. Really appreciate it. Richie, I did want to say one other thing to you, so I help you flatten in if you're on your own. But I sort of say it with a warning. There's a fantastic bit of kit for flattening in, especially ceilings, and it's really fast. It's a great way of doing it. But if you're new to the game, I wouldn't recommend it because I don't want you to become reliant on it. You ultimately, Rich, you want to be able to do everything with your trowel, you know. I'm a big advocate for travelling light. Some fellas have got a tool for every situation, you know. They have this trowel for this, they have that. If you watch any of my videos, I try and do everything with just my standard trowel, just because it's less arsing around, going back into your toolbox, you know. I just like to know that if I've got my handboard and trowel, I carry a small tool with me, I can do pretty much any work with it. I've got loads of kit on the van, all the, you know, the different size spatulas and boot trowels and everything you can imagine. I've got it all, but I try and just do everything with my trowel. And I try and recommend that everybody else learn that as well. So if you're ever in a situation you haven't got your fancy little nickety trowel to do something with, you know, I don't use corner trowels. I've got them. I've got about 10, but I don't use them. It's good to be able to not have to rely on things. That being said, fantastic tool for flattening in straight away is a speed skim. I use a speed skim quite a lot, especially over Artex ceilings. That said, though, I'm not reliant on it. So I would recommend that you become proficient at plastering without these extra tools and then use them in the future to your advantage. That's what I'd recommend, but they are a massive help. I must admit, I do really enjoy having a speed skim on the van. I've got about 3 different size ones that I keep on the van with a pole attachment, so you can literally just flatten the ceiling off the floor. But don't rely on it, mate. Don't go out and get one now and learn to plaster with it and not be able to do anything without it. That's what I don't. I don't want you sort of like beholden to a speed skim. So one day, if it ever broke or you got a nick in it, that you can't do your job, you know? That's what you got to sort of watch out for. That being said, anyway, as well, if anyone likes the idea of a speed skim, I've been looking at the numbers for the draw for the DEWALT cordless mixer. The draw for that, if there's enough money in the kitty, which at the minute it's looking quite promising, there'll potentially be speed skims getting given away as well, for like second prize and run-up prizes. I sort of do that as if the amount of money that comes in covers buying the whisk and there's loads left over, then I'll buy more tools and give them away as little bonus prizes. But I'm not going to sort of like guarantee that yet. We'll just have to see what money comes in first, yeah. You know, but if there's enough in the kitty, then there'll be some speed skims going out. Like last time we did speed skims, we did half time and stuff. So, you know, potentially if anyone wants one of those, then get your name on the list. You could potentially win a whisk or a speed skim, but no guarantee on the speed skims as of yet. Oh, yeah, look, as I've just said it, Paul's trade. Kirk, would you advise Rich to get a speed skim for ceilings? No, yes. I don't know. No. I wouldn't advise a new beginner to go and get a speed skim. I'd advise it for the old boys that have been doing it for years because it'll make your life easier. I think it's like you want to learn to drive in a manual car, don't you? And then get an automatic and enjoy having an automatic. You don't want to learn in an automatic and then you can't drive a manual. Do you know what I'm trying to say? You want to learn to plaster without all these added extras and then, You know what I'm saying, don't you? Eddie Gilks. How do you kit out when skimming a 10-foot ceiling? Builder's trestles, mate. I've got little short ones. Builder's trestles. Failing that, I have been known to put my crate on top of my hop up. But you can't step back, then you have to have 2 crates on it. But it's not ideal. Smaller ceilings, it's okay. You know, a little kitchen ceiling or something if you're on 10-footers. But if I'm on, like, you know, a big living room ceiling, builder's trestles and planks. Go up a few comments here from the Addy one. Jimmy's saying, I don't know what's going on. I must have missed something. I must have missed something. I don't know. If I start scrolling now, you usually have to watch me here like without talking. So I'm not going to go. I'm just whatever. Danny Arbuckle. There he is. Where have you been, Danny? Flipping time of this now. You've only just turned up. Love a speed skim on the first coat. Sorry I'm late, mate. Yeah. Danny, we've been talking about you. So anyway, glad you're here now, mate. You okay? Yeah, Ronnie Barker. What time do you call this, Danny? Danny, you've turned up now, mate, and I'm going. Well. Oh. No beer for you either, Danny. You had enough in Edinburgh. I have heard. You rascal. Tim Bell, yeah, speed. Speed skim is a game changer. They are. Ronnie Barker, he's a wind up. Danny, you haven't missed the raffle. Don't worry, mate. Don't listen to Ronnie. He's pulling your leg. Buzz trade. Even if you charge half price for practice, if you're not comfortable, and just reassure the customer that that's not your comfortable ceilings, but will give your best for half the price. Win-win, by my view. Yeah, that's a way of doing it, mate. Yeah. Another thing, mate. I don't know if you know or not. If you're new to my channel, where's he gone now? Oh, yeah, Richie94. If you're new to my channel, mate, go and have a look at. I've made a couple of videos on skimming over Artex ceilings, and just any of the skimming videos, mate. I think I know not teaching you to suck eggs, but have a look at them, because throughout the videos, I do sort of, as things come to mind, I do put lots of little tips through the videos that potentially, if you're new to skimming, they will help you a lot, mate. So, you know, in your own time, I'll have a gander through any of my videos over skimming, especially the ones that are skimming over Artex, because they specifically deal with skimming ceilings. So I always try and pack as many little tips in there as I possibly can. It's hard though sometimes, because a lot of the things I do automatically, subconsciously, because I've sort of done it that long that I don't think about it. So because I don't think, I don't say it. So it's quite difficult to sort of make a video and remember to, hang on a minute, I have to tell them what I'm doing. So otherwise, all the tips, everything would be in one video. But then I make a video and I put as much info as I could think of in there. And then when I watch it back, I think, oh, I should have said this and I should have told them about this and what to do there. And so hence there's more skimming videos, and there's going to be more and more coming, because there's still things that I think now, oh, I haven't told them about this yet. So there'll be plenty more in the pipeline for you, mate, as well. Danny Arbuckle, I've had enough whiskey, you know, mate. Going to Thailand on Thursday, you know, mate. Danny, little globetrotter. Right, gents. I've had enough. I'm tired. Tired of talking. As I was saying to you before, right, I've done 2 hours and 10 minutes of me yapping. I do all my talking now on a Sunday night. I've got nothing left to say for the rest of the week. I'm like in work, because I've just fucking talked myself out. been emotional. Nice having you online, lads. Now I'm aware that there's a couple of you chatting in the comments here, so I don't want to end the video because I don't want to cut you off whilst you're just having a little chin wag. So I'll give you 10 minutes, all right? I'm going to have my beer and I'm going to just browse through these comments and possibly chirp in from time to time. But I don't want to cut you off. So, Jimmy, nice you got the van back. Fudge, me and you went down the beach with the family today. Back to work next week, the weekend. Ain't long enough. I know, tell me about it. Do you know what I did do for a little while, Jimmy? Worked quite well. I have to be dead strict with it, though. All my mates used to call me the Boomtown Rat. That's what they used to call me, the Boomtown Rat, because I don't like Mondays. So, given that Monday's probably the crappiest day of the week, even when you work 7 days a week like I usually do now, Monday still seems to be a crap day, even though every day's a Monday when you do 7 days. But I was determined to not work the weekends and I just do a 4-day week. And I did that for about a year. It was great. Saturday, Sunday, Monday off, just work Tuesday to Friday. Oh, and it's just mint, if you can do it. Unfortunately for me at the minute, the way things are panning out, I could potentially survive on a 4-day week. Not going to lie, I could sort of get by on it, but what's basically happened to me now is I've been sort of sacrificed, you know. My role basically now is just a slave. I just work to go and get money for these guys in here so they can all have a nice life. So if I did a 4-day week now, I mean, we could get by, be all right, but they wouldn't have as much fun as if sort of do like 5 or 6 days and then, you know, they can all have everything they want, can't they? They can go flipping crazy. We live right near Cheshire Oaks. Took me 11-year-old there today. We've been for where did we go? We went to Antalya Bristow. We had a Turkish lunch. There's like a Turkish restaurant there also. We nipped up there, had a spot of lunch to cure me hangover. We had a Turkish lunch. And then my youngest daughter was on my case because she wanted a pair of trainers. So, aren't trainers expensive? Flipping Cheshire Oaks. She's 11. Bog standard trainers, 100 quid. 7 days a week, I tell you. Flipping vet bills, van bills, flipping kids with trainers, babies, windows, it all just, you just end up having to do extra days, don't you, to keep everything covered. Oh yeah, Danny's on about Danny Arbuckle. Something happened with him on the way back home. I think he was stranded because they didn't take cash. What do you mean you don't take cash? Cash is king. Right, guys. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. I've got to go in. Oh, excuse me. I've got to go in, have a shower and get my head down because back on the acrylic job tomorrow, and I made a promise to you before that I'll do a video every day this week. So a day in the life, the series starts tomorrow. So I'm going to be busy getting things done, filming and knocking out content tomorrow evening. So I'm going to be busy for a week, living up to my word. If I say it, I'll do it. So I'm going to call it a night, guys. It's been emotional. We've had a good laugh, haven't we? Paul. Jimmy, yeah, see if your days are as interesting as mine. Mate, working with Kieran every day is interesting. It's going to be interesting, trust me. Kieran's got, what's he got? He's got all the alphabet flipping issues. He's got ADHD. He's got flipping... There's not a normal day for me. Trust me, he's flipping nuts. So, yeah, we'll be having a laugh. All right, matey, I'm off too. Have a good rest, mate. Nighty, nice. And to everyone else, peace out, lads. Take it easy, Paul. Jeff Jones, cheers, mate. Adios. Tim Bell, Mike Kirk, looking forward to the videos. Thank you, Tim. Ronnie Barker, be safe and stay safe. All the best, mate. Danny, Jimmy's Building Services. I was leaving, but Danny joined, so I was waiting for the crack from him. Yeah, Danny's a rascal, and he's a top lad. Gents, it's a pleasure. I love you. Ciao. Where's that flipping button?